What's up, family? I'm making this video for all the men in the world. And it's because every man, more than likely, is going to be a father. Whether you're straight or something else or whatever, most men want to be, or even if they don't want to be, are going to be a father. So I have 4 children. I've been a father since I was 19 years old. Um, Never been to prison, thank God. Always was there. Was there for all their births and raised them and changed diapers and all the way to now. My oldest daughter's in college and my second daughter's in high school, about to graduate next year, and I got 2 other ones. My youngest is in middle school, and my third daughter's in middle school. Anyway, I have 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy. So I say that to say this. I have to be a good person. Like, I have to be the best version of myself. Just off the fact that I'm a father. Like, let's not even talk about the fact that I'm a child of God and I'm a son and a brother and a spouse and everything else, and just a person, an angel on earth, a divine idea in the mind of God. Just not even that part. And that's, of course, probably, if not, probably the biggest part. But just off of being a father. I can't fail. I can't fall into darkness. Whether it be darkness bestowed on myself or darkness that I bestow on others. Because I'm a dad. I have to become and stay consistent in being the best version of myself for my children's sake. I have to be an example. I have to be available. And as much as I think I'm selfish and self-centered, and I am, like we all are, at times, or all the time. But anyway, the love that I have for my children supersedes it. Not all the time, but most of the time. And it always has. And the only reason I truly know that is because other people have recognized the love that I have for my children. I've had, multiple people from multiple, scenarios in my life tell me that they know how much I love my children. And that love holds me accountable. That love makes me responsible. That love gives me purpose and a duty to become the best version of myself. So I can teach them early what I've learned late. So I can guide them. So I can lay a foundation for them to build upon and grow the legacy of our family. So I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. And I'm saying that you have an obligation to be the best version of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, for your children's sake. There's a saying, the sons suffer the sins of the father. And sayings are not sayings for no reason. You have to be vigilant of who you are and what you become, and most importantly, what you do when you're a parent. And this goes to mothers and fathers, but especially fathers, because it's our duty to get our family closer to God. That's your main purpose in life, is to get your family, get your spouse and your children as close to God as possible. Now, you can use religion, but you don't have to. And if in using religion, you can't shove anything down somebody's throat. You with God, what I love about God is that as long as you introduce a person, a spirit to God, they'll hopefully they'll get back around to him, whether they go astray or not. Hopefully they don't. But I can say personally that all of my children have a relationship with God and have a respect for God because of my relationship and my respect for God. And I'm very proud of that in the most humblest way possible, because I don't push things on my children, and I can be strict and stern at times, but I don't force. I relay information. I respect my children. I respect my children's intelligence, and I tell them the truth. Like I said, I give them early what I've learned late, and then I let them do what they do. And they've never ceased to amaze me with their growth spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm very, very grateful to God for my children and who they are and who they're becoming. And that's why I have to make sure that I'm being the best version of myself. And I'm not perfect, but I do strive to be a little bit better than yesterday. And everything is practice. They say that if you're in a negative situation and you choose to respond positive, that the next time you're in a negative situation, your brain will program itself to be a little bit more positive in that situation. And that starts giving you control of your life, because many people are dead or in jail because of they couldn't control their emotions, because they didn't think things through. And you have an obligation to not just think things through, but have a level of empathy and compassion for your fellow man, as a parent, as a father. Nobody wins when there's no love in war, man. There's no love in war. And God didn't put us here to war with each other. And if you have children and you're warring with somebody else, the only time it's okay to get in trouble, really, is if it's for your children. And I'm dealt with that personally, where I got into some trouble because I confronted, and I didn't even physically confront them, just all text messages, and you can see my other videos about that, how I manifested myself out of jail. But yeah, through text messages against another man, because I felt like he was being inappropriate with my daughter. So, that's the only time I can say, jump out the window. Any other time, take your ass to work, or work on your business, or work out, focus on your family, especially, and this is to the fathers, and take your ass home, because it ain't about you no more. At the end of the day, all adults are going to have their life. You're always going to have time to have fun and do things and all that. But once you become a parent, you have to be aware that your life is not just yours anymore. So with that is responsibility. You was man enough to go up and shorty and do your thing. So now you got to handle the responsibilities from it. And I know it's not always easy, and I know there's a lot of different scenarios, but God is infinite. No matter what situation you in, we've heard every story about every crazy, absurd, diabolical, heinous, grimy, hellish situations that's happened to various people over the history of time, and God's gotten them out of it. God's gotten them through it. God made them better because of it. So this is why there's so much of an attack on God, because the devil knows that if no matter what situation he gives you, if you go to God, it's going to be fixed sooner or later. But if you consistently see, that's the thing, that's the dangerous thing about being on demon time, is that when you do negative things, it has energy. Everything is energy. You have positive energy, you have negative energy, and each energy is very attractive. You know, it's very addictive. So if you start doing wrong things, you're going to be addicted to doing wrong things, and that's the trick that they don't tell you. Like, it's not like, oh, and I'm not saying you won't feel bad for doing those wrong things, but you'll still have an urge to do them because you're in that frequency. See, everything is frequency. So if your frequency is on some bull crap, you're going to be more attracted to the bull crap. Now, if your frequency is on love and positivity and compassion and abundance and prosperity and creation, all the things that God created us for. Remember, God created us in his image. God created us. If the God is what? The great creator. So if the great creator created us, then, and we're in his image, then we are the smaller great creators. But if you're now you can create malice or you can create peace. And they both gotta kind of be fought for. So you could take that same energy that you're rebelling with for whatever reason, and there's so many different reasons, and you can put it towards what a real man's purpose is for, and that's to be an asset to life. You're here to help others, because people don't realize, man, the older you get, the heavier your heart gets. I have grandfathers. My grandfather, my only living grandparent right now, he's 90 years old. I've been around old people. I was with my other grandfather before he died. And they tell you things, man. They tell you things. Not everything, but they tell you some things, man. And when you do things, and I've faced this myself, that's why I've never crossed the line, but so much, because I have a heavy conscience. That shit weighs on you, man. That shit weighs on you, man. I got into it with a situation. I was 9 years old, and I hurt somebody. He was 12. He was older than me, and I hurt him pretty bad. He's good, but I hurt him. And, you know, sometimes to this day, I still think about it. So, you can't ignore your compassion. I know we all got to be hard. We got to be tough. We got to be men. I get that part. But you got to do it for the right reasons. Angels are tough. Angels go hard. I keep saying this in all of my videos. Angels go harder than demons. You can be a tough ass angel. Angels are the toughest. I grew up, I'm born in 1986. I grew up, you know, and I don't know what it is now because it should be the same thing now, but I grew up loving the hero. I grew up rooting for Superman, Batman, the Hulk, Spider-Man, of course, like Wolverine, X-Men. We grew up rooting for the heroes. Now, as time, some people started liking the bad guys more, and I get all that, but that's a trick, man. That's the trick. We are here, we especially if you're a father. As soon as you become a father, you are a hero. You have been made into a hero, but you can become the villain. And that's up to you. Because no matter what, a child always wants his parents. I don't care if you go missing forever. You know what I mean? Jay-Z, a billionaire, he still talk about his dad. Like everybody, you know. So as a father, you have a responsibility to become the best version of yourself. You ain't got no time to wallow. You ain't got no time to make huge mistakes. You ain't got no time to be committing crimes and you got to keep your head. That's real strength. I tell people all the time, real strength is being able to keep your head, man, while everybody else is losing theirs. Real strength is to be able to walk away. Real strength is to be able to stay out the way. I stay out the way. And I used to be outside with the best of them, and thank God that I'm still here. I don't know how I'm still here, man, but I was always a cool cat. I wasn't off that. I wasn't trying to intimidate nobody. I wasn't trying to bully nobody. You know what I mean? I could have my enforcer. I was a little bit enforcer at times, but that was because things wasn't right. But you know what I mean? People respected me because I always showed love. I was always about showing love. You know what I mean? And you get what you give. Even, and I got haters with the best of them, but, you know, I was never malicious enough to even care what the next do. And I've had guys pull guns out on me and everything. I've had, you know, first person that could pull the gun out of me, a couple of months later, he was dead. They thought it was me. I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just saying, like, I'm not perfect. I've been in a situation. I was already a father too, but I was young. But I always knew I had to get back home to my baby. And I took risks. I took stupid risks. You know what I mean? But I also took good risks and started getting addicted to taking the good risks, because God will show you. I've been shown what can happen if you go too far. I be getting a little taste, and that's all I need. I ain't trying to go to jail. I'm trying to be here for my children, man. And that's what keeps me going, because that's what's worth it. It's nothing better than my children calling me and I'm available. I've always been available. So it's your job to be available. So if you're a father right now, or you becoming a father, and if you're not a father, you're going to be a father. So understand, start getting your mindset. I don't care if you watching this and you 13, 15, 16, you're going to be a dad one day. So understand that level of maturity has to start happening now, because you already getting it in, right? More than likely, the older you get, you're going to be getting it in. So that's what comes with that. You like females, children come with females. So get your mindset on what you have to become when you become a father. And that ain't even, I'm just talking about becoming a father, but I ain't even talking about having to deal with a woman. That's a whole nother level of coof, patience, intelligence, faith. You know, women ain't no joke, man. So you really gotta mature as soon as possible. A man has to mature fast. And we live in this world where it's like, nah, you know, be a kid. And I tell my kids, be a kid as long as possible, because you got to be an adult for the rest of your life. So I'm all for that. But with the way the world is going and the way, you know, people have always been, when it comes to having sex and getting it in and all that, a man has to mature fast, because you're going to become a father, then you have to take care of another life. And you got to become the best version of yourself. Because you never know what your kid will become. Sometimes it ain't about you. I mean, you know what I mean? Hopefully, you know, you keep it about you as well. And you do you as well. I want you to do you. But sometimes you never know. Your kid might be the one. You know? LeBron, I'm from Jersey. My uncle knew Shaq's dad. That's a throwaway winning lottery ticket. LeBron's dad. You know what I'm saying? So you never know. You just being there and, you know, your kid become boom. Your kid become next Travis Hunter or whatever. Not like that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm just making this video to let you know that as a father, you have an obligation to become the best version of yourself, you know, and be an inspiration and a motivation and an example for your children and society as a whole. And you have to give yourself a break if you make mistakes. You know, fall 7, you get up 8. It's a Japanese proverb. You just get back up. You just get back up, and don't let the depression and the shame and the embarrassment crumble you, because those are all sins. You're not created to feel those things, you know? So you have to let those things go so you can embrace the new you. If you made mistakes and the person you are now could go back in time and not make the same mistake, then you're not that person anymore. You're not that person that made that mistake. If you will go back in time and change the mistakes that you've made, then you're not that same person anymore. So let that person go and move on and become the best version of yourself so you can be an asset to your children and to your family and not a liability. Always remember, God loves you. He created you for a reason. You're a divine idea in the mind of God. Everything is good and very good. One love.